has to come when the art decides to be here. It's just gotta flow. You just gotta let it out, you know? Unscripted, unedited, pure art. Oh, hello. I used to believe in God. Yeah. I used to believe in God. I used to believe that there was something out there looking after me. That the world made sense. That there was even a kingdom which was magical and was above the clouds, maybe. And everything I did in life was kept a careful watch upon. And when I prayed, my prayers were received by God, maybe in little envelopes with little angels that would go up and, here, God, here's another prayer from this 9-year-old kid. And God would look it over and make a very considered decision. I used to believe in God and all that. But I fell into something over the course of my life, and over the course of witnessing life, and not just living my own, much uglier. I fell into knowing that there was a God. Much scarier. Because when you know something, you can't escape. When you know something, there's no excuse. Belief is the date. Knowing, knowledge, is the marriage. There's a lot of believers, but not a lot of knowers. There's a lot of wanna believers. There's a lot of wanna knowers. But I tell you this, you don't wanna know. Because when you know, it's over. When the hard, cold steel of reality smacks you in the face, and you realize that everything you are, everything you do, everything you think, the very atoms that make up your being, have a source. That there's actually a source of being itself. That without, there is nothing. And you, O believer, can't help yourself but to approach this notion with utter terror at first. One would get the impression that there are many who strive to believe, who want, who beg to know the divine, who want that, and who beg for it, and who live for it, and who pray and chant for it. But having had it, the glamour disappears. When you realize what God actually is, the truth that you can't have, that you can't conquer, that you can't keep or put your name upon. That's scary. Better to be blissfully ignorant and believe than to know. The fun is gone. The assurance of if has left. Maybe a delusion is to convince yourself of a belief to the point that you no longer resist the critical mind which comes to refute that fantasy. But the stage beyond that, from conviction with passion, is conviction with resistance. I don't want to know, but I do. I don't want to know it's cold outside. I'd rather that my skin and my body remained warm despite the Arctic temperature. That I was drunk with whiskey or alcohol or whatever and didn't feel it. I used to believe in God. And that was fun. I went through the motions, did the prayers, read the books. And then I thought, what a lame thing. What a foolish thing. That was the next step. Atheism. Denial. But then came the weight of acceptance on my shoulders. And it was quite heavy. God can only be known and experienced. Can't be preached. Can't be written. You could try. But it has to happen here. And it isn't chased as to be attained, but falls upon you like rain. God doesn't need a champion. God doesn't need you to fight. Real faith comes when you realize that God doesn't need, least of all, you. God doesn't need our problems, but we realize in true faith, if we can ascribe the word true to anything that we do, that God is a raging fire into which everything is cast one day, including us. But including our problems, including our shortcomings, everything. Accepting that is really hard to swallow. There's a famous song that I really like by a good artist who unfortunately passed away. But one of the lyrics in this song really speaks. Really speaks to the truth. The lyric goes, "The truth is hard to digest. That's a good reflection and a very valuable one, in my opinion. But I thought about that lyric, and actually, it's impossible to digest the truth because we can't consume it to begin with. We can't eat it. It eats us. In a sense, if this is off-putting to imagine, and it is, we exist in the stomach of God, so to speak, being digested. But those parts of us which we'd rather be preserved, we're to keep in the line with the will of this God and diligently reflect on what that means. How many books have been written or laws made over the eons of human existence, wondering that truth, what the will of God is. But despite everything we come up with, we have to remember that essential thing. We can only ever chase the truth. Or wait, we can only ever look after it, try to seek it. Can't have it. It has us.